in life, there's two types of people. There's the people that own the store, and there's the people that scrape the shit off the floor. And you kind of have to decide, which one do you want to be? You have to have a plan in your life for what's going to happen to you when you hit your 60s and 70s. Don't let a crisis ever be wasted. You learn something from it, and then you move forward.
Need motivation?
Watch the top 10 on Motivation Nation.
Believe Nation.
Oh, Believe Nation. Okay. All right, here we go.
Need motivation?
Watch the top 10 on Believe Nation.
Top 10, I got a top 10. Got my motivation high for my top 10. Gotta learn from the wise women and men. All my life, like na 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 na. For my top 10, top 10, na 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 na. This one's for my top 10.
Hey, it's Evan Carmichael, and I make these videos because you are probably the most ambitious person in your circle, but you know you're capable of more. And you get that push by surrounding yourself with the best. So today, let's learn from one of the best, Kevin O'Leary, and my take on his top 10 rules of success. Enjoy. Okay, let's kick it off with rule number 1. Make that decision.
This whole entrepreneurial journey, most people I talk to, they have this unique moment in their lives when this happens. And for me, it was when I was in grade 11 in high school, and I got my first job. When I teach these days, I always tell this story, but I'll tell it to you now. I wanted that job because the girl I was interested in high school was working at the shoe store across the mall, and this was an ice cream store, and they were looking for a scooper. And so I took the job, and the first day I was there, the owner, was a woman, said to me, you know, when you give the little samples out of ice cream on little sticks, people take their gum out and they throw it on the floor, and this store had Mexican tiles, beautiful tiles. And the gum was, got stuck on them, and it turned dark, it looked ugly. Day was over, I shut all the ice cream bins down, and I was ready to get back on my bike, go home, and she said to me, scrape the gum off the floor. You can't leave before you scrape the gum off the floor. And I said, well, and I knew that this girl was watching me from across the mall because we were going to check out and go get a soda or something together. I was really looking forward to it. And I said to the owner, I can't, you hired me as a scooper. I'm not a scraper. I'm not going to get down on my knees because I didn't want her to, the girl across the hall to see me on my knees scraping gum. And she said, no, you're an employee. You're going to do exactly what I say. This is Magoo's Ice Cream Parlor. This was Magoo's Ice Cream Parlor. It was right here. The counter was right here. And she said, you're fired. Get out of my ice cream store. But within minutes, I was on my bicycle on my way home in utter shame, in shock that she had that kind of control over my life. Changed my life forever. I have never, ever in my life worked for someone again. Ever. No one has ever had control over me, ever. And never will. And that's another one of those moments where the lights go off and I realized in life there's two types of people. There's the people that own the store, and there's the people that scrape the shit off the floor. And you kind of have to decide, which one do you want to be? And I'm not dissing being an employee. There's nothing wrong with that. That's a different life. If you want that security, that's cool. And you can be a great employee, and I've talked about that before, but I didn't want to be an employee. I didn't want someone to have that kind of power over me. I never wanted that, ever again. And she was the reason. I owe her so much that she twisted me that day and I never had a job. I never had a full-time job again in my life. I only worked for myself from that day on. That was the beginning of my entrepreneurial journey.
Rule number 2, build a team.
It's important to think when you're starting a business, if you're going to take that entrepreneurial route, that you need to build a team. Most successful companies are aggregations of teams where one person's skill set augments the others. In other words, what I've learned, and a lot of people think one person can do it all. You can't. Generally, people have something they're really, really good at, and they also have a huge deficit. And in my case, I love sales and marketing, but I hate logistics. I hate making widgets, but I can't have a business if I don't make widgets. So I had to find a great widget guy. and that kind of thing. And as it turned out, it was a woman. And so at the end of the day, you need a partner that can build that team. And so I would highly recommend, if you're going to start a business, you want to find somebody that you really like in terms of their skill set. Not that are a friend of yours, someone whose skill set's fantastic.
Rule number 3, set priorities.
I learned this from a woman CEO years ago, to actually carry with you all the time, and I have it right here. If I don't have my big notebook, I carry a small one with me, paper, just paper. And what I've got in here are notes. And I carry a pen with me all the time. I love to collect pens. This is a new Egyptian Mont Blanc. When something hits me, wherever I am, I remember to write it down. And the reason I do that is I build a priority set that I put down each night. And out of all the priorities of the day, I carry 3 into the next day. Because you can even see, here's a day, you can see that a bunch of stuff has been, a bunch of priorities there, but I've basically done them. I got them done. But this idea of prioritizing ends up being a really big deal. So that's attribute number 1. Politicians, teachers, generals, CEOs, they build a data set in their heads of things they've got to get done. And they don't do anything else until they've achieved those. For me, it's a sticky note on the mirror each night. I've talked about this countless times. And I don't do anything else till I get those 3 done. And they're built from the list that I generate during the day. So definitely for all successful people, regardless of what their discipline is, that idea of priority really matters.
Rule number 4, solve a problem.
I say to every entrepreneur that's starting their journey or contemplating it, do not go after entrepreneurship out of the greed of money. You will never find it. It's a passion for personal freedom. And the only way you're going to make your first $1 million, and this is a material challenge, is you have to solve a problem for somebody. And if you solve that problem for one person, and it's a similar problem that millions of other people have, that's the core of what a business is. Entrepreneurs see problems, find solutions, and that's how they create a business. Businesses are always solving problems for people. Let's talk about writing books, because I'm working on my 4th now. I'm hating every minute of it, but I think it's going to be my best. But I always say that about every book. How do you do yours?
This book came when I was on tour last year, and I was hitting the city every 4 days and doing a speech in front of a group, and the questions that people asked me, I just kept like a note of what people kept asking me over and over again, and then it turned it into
And you got, thematically, you would get some very questions over and over again that people had, right? And you say that is a kernel. That's an important question, because they keep getting it all the time. Is that the idea?
Yeah, I was on tour and people kept asking me, how do I find my purpose? How do I find my purpose? How do I find my purpose? It's like the number 1 question in every city across America. I said, well, that's pretty easy. You don't have to sit on top of a mountain for 10 years or hire a $20,000 business coach. There's a 3-step process to find your purpose. And I just guided them through it. And then everyone's, hey, pick me, do it with me. It's like, okay, well, I'll turn it into a book. And that became Built to Serve.
Sounds good. I got to read that book now. That sounds pretty good. I got to find my purpose. I've really enjoyed our time today. It's
great.
You're a good guy.
Thank you.
I'm going to endorse you. It's fantastic.
Rule number 5, have a plan.
You have to have a plan in your life for what's going to happen to you when you hit your 60s and 70s and 80s, and maybe by then your 90s, because people are living longer all the time. How do you get a nest egg together? Well, the average salary in America is around $58,000. And so I'm going to give it to you in a nutshell. You have to start saving in your early years, in your 20s, $100 a week, minimum. But it's not just the saving aspect. You've got to invest that money. So you have to take that $100 out of whatever your activity is, or you're going to start a side hustle. Maybe you're going to be a photographer, maybe you're going to be a writer, maybe you're going to do something else, a separate job where you can make at least, $100 a week after tax, and you're going to invest it. You're not going to save it, you're going to invest it. Saving is what you have in cash. Investing is what you put into the market. Now, the market is a volatile thing, is the first question, made reference to. And when you invest in the stock market, what matters is diversification. You don't know which stocks are going to go up and down or when. You don't know which sectors of the economy are going to outperform the others. You have no idea. But if you look over a long period of time, what you see is a market, a stock market that returns around 6 to 8% a year. And if you start to put aside $100 a week in your early years, you're going to end up with, if the markets do what they did for the last 100 plus years, you're going to end up with about $1.5 million when you're 65. That is really important.
Rule number 6, learn from experience.
Here's what I've always felt is important about entrepreneurship. Go work for somebody else for a while. Try out some business that you think you'd be good at and apply yourself to that. Don't necessarily start up on your own for the first time. That's a tremendous amount of work, and it doesn't always work out. Experience is the one thing you can never have unless you spend time getting it. You know what I mean? And it's actually the most valuable thing and something you should respect. A lot of people do not respect experience. I do. I always ask mentors and people that have done things before me what I can learn from them. Now, I'm not against going to college, nothing wrong with that, but the experience of life, of actually doing something, is the most powerful way to learn.
Rule number 7, listen and learn.
You can't believe how many people can't shut up and listen. I learned that from one of my women CEOs years ago. She told me, Kevin, you seem to spend 66% of your day talking and only 33.33%, listening. Reverse, change, because you'll learn a lot more. You'll become far more effective. You just shut your mouth and listen to what's going on around you. And she was right. And today, I really try and balance that out. 2/3 listening, 1/3 talking. So the willingness to learn comes from the desire to just absorb information.
Rule number 8, focus on your goals.
I'm really goal focused. I really am. If I have to get something done by 5 o'clock that day, I get it done by 1 o'clock. I don't wait to the deadline. Maybe I get up and do it first thing. I block my days off into 30-minute chunks and I get it done. Try it, it works. Doesn't matter what you do. Doesn't matter what you do. If you basically say, these are the 5 things I'm going to nail today, and I'm not going to let anything get in the way, watch how productive you'll become. Watch how you'll achieve your goals. Watch how people will want to work with you. Watch how they'll want to be part of your world. People respect work, but they really respect executional excellence. And above all, they love consistency. And above all that, they respect honesty. Even though it's really hard to be honest all the time, suck it up and do it. It'll serve you well your whole life.
Rule number 9, keep the lessons.
When I look at great entrepreneurs today, maybe you even, and Johnny, what will make you successful is experience that you will take and have those tools in your memory to use when you have to make your pivot. Great entrepreneurs do that all the time. Don't let a crisis ever be wasted. You learn something from it, and then you move forward. Because you might not use it that day, but you're going to use it one day, and it's going to be tremendously valuable for you.
And rule number 10, the last one before a very special bonus clip, is have a direction.
You have to believe in yourself, even if others around you don't. Even if they doubt you, even if they think that you're wrong, you can't have that feeling about yourself. You have to have your own perception that you are right. And I'm not saying, belligerent, but that you are worth every ounce of your being and that you respect yourself that way. Now, it doesn't mean you can't listen to other ideas, but you have to have a vision, a direction. If you don't know where you're going, Zoe, no one will ever follow you there. I've said that countless times, and it remains true today as it will 1,000 years from now. People want to follow those that understand the road, the direction, and you have to have that. Let me be trite about it. The kind of food you eat, the exercise, how you look, how you feel about yourself, how you dress, how you present yourself.
Now I've got a special bonus clip that I think you're going to enjoy. But before that, it's time for the question of the day. I want to know, what was your single biggest takeaway from this video and your plan of action for the next week? When you watch a video and you just get motivated, the sign says you have a 35% chance of actually following through. That's not good enough, Believe Nation. We got to take action. But when you get motivated and then you create a specific plan of action for when and how you're going to do it, your number jumps from 35% to 91% chance of following through. And when you commit to somebody else, like posting down here in the comments below, that number jumps to 95%. I want to know your single biggest takeaway from this video and your plan of action for the next week. Put it down in the comments below so you can follow through and I can celebrate you.
There's a big difference between saving and investing. Saving, you don't even beat the inflation rate anymore. Basically, that's the amount of cash you should have on hand just in case poo-poo hits the fan. Catastrophic illness in your family, car accident, something tragic occurs. I like to have 90 days of window. So whatever it costs you to live for a month, have 3 of those, just in case poo-poo hits the fan. So 90 days. But then you should find a way to change your spending habits. And, the people spend money on all kinds of crap they don't need. You look at your closet full of clothes you never wear anymore and shoes you don't wear anymore and all the junk you don't need in consumer electronics. Take a little bit of that and just invest it, not save it, invest it. And that is where you take and use an app like Beanstox to pull $100 out of your account and automatically put it into a wide, diverse portfolio that you hope will achieve 6 to 8% a year over a long period of time. That's how you become a millionaire when you're in your 60s and you have a nest egg that you can fall against when you want to retire, as opposed to having nothing in the bank.
If you want 10 more amazing rules from Kevin O'Leary, check out the video right there next to me. I think you'll enjoy it. Continue to believe, and I'll see you there.
I would personally rather invest someone who has felt the sting of failure and is motivated by the fear of failing a 4th time than someone who thinks they can never fail, because